Trellis has culminated in a 9-day exhibition on the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park of the 4 works that were created in collaboration between artists and researchers over the last 10 months. The audience for that is visitors to the park, and they have been displayed in the vicinity of the new campus that UCL is building on the park. So the idea being that visitors to the park will come across them, engage in conversation around the research and also around UCL, and also that they're in a space that the communities that have been worked with through the process can access and can get to, and feels like a natural home for them.
It's taken me out of my comfort zone in some ways. What Hui does a lot in her research is go out to places like allotments, and this project was designed sort of following on from that, if you like.
An artist is not just doing something for the aesthetic value, but other things are to do with what they're trying to unpack about the world, which is a very similar thing to what academics do. And unfortunately, our aesthetic is dry and boring papers. And so if you can have these in-depth conversations where you feel like you really understand each other, and then you see this work formulate around that shared understanding, and then you think, oh, I'm really hoping that the public, when they see this, they'll be able to engage in this other way. I think that that's what these collaborations are about.
The quality of the work that was produced was extraordinary. And I think what I really loved about it was the way in which the artists and the academics worked together to communicate what they were doing in a way that was sophisticated enough for those people who had an investment in the areas of research, but also for those families, children, or people walking through that would suddenly get very interested in how urine is valuable as a fertiliser, and that we need to start rethinking the ways we behave. The artists and the academics actually also went on an incredible journey, and I think for me, that watching that and seeing how the exhibition brought all that together was exceptional.
I've been really involved with this area and with the Olympic Park for years and years, and so it was an opportunity to look at it in a different way. Kind of worked on the research together in the different archives, and Effie's also been working with various local historians. I think there's much more we can still do with what we've researched.
I think it's always quite exciting to see part of your work in a public space, and for people to have this kind of, just everyday encounter, possibility to engage with it. It's something you don't normally get in research. In that sense, it's more open and can be more leads to more kind of diverse encounters.
As someone who leads the public art, it was the first opportunity we'd really been able to have to demonstrate what we actually mean by public art. There's obviously quite a strong perception that might be more sculptures, and in reality, public art at UCL is about what Trellis sought to achieve, which is the genuine collaboration between academics and artists, all the tensions that might bring, all the learning that it takes. They've looked at the experimental methodologies we've used to see how we can reach different academics and different artists and help them find one another in quite nuanced and subtle ways. That has helped me now develop an argument that Trellis is actually the principle that we will be using for all our commissioning for UCL East campus.
We've got 4 incredibly diverse artists who have looked at their existing practice and seen this as an opportunity to push themselves and expand their practice in various ways. My role as the curator has been along the journey to support them in developing their ideas. And I think it was in one of my early meetings with Alison Turnbull where she sort of said, there are lots of directions that my artwork could take now, but what I need to find is the thing that excites me. And that's what the brilliant thing about working with artists is always, that they are looking for that intellectually stimulating moment that makes their work exciting. And that's been a pleasure to work around, because each of the artists has done that in a slightly different way.
Well, for Trellis, I made work that was in a media entirely new to me. I was working with dance, which was new, and I was also working with video. And so it was collaborative in the very widest sense.
This experience really allows you to try to think about the vocabulary and the language that you're using in order to be able to reach a larger public. And this is how discussions can start, and people can think about science in a different way if they can really reach it and not see it as something that is out there, unreachable.
projects which are about collaboration and about bringing together groups of people that don't naturally come together as part of their everyday work, but who do have similar interests. I think that's really important for us as a university to bring in new voices, to bring in new ideas, to broaden the kinds of people that we're talking to. Simply, it creates better research, it creates a better environment, it creates better learning experiences for our students. But also it allows us as an institution to be outward looking and to think about how what we do impacts and influences the world around us.
Nanotechnology, what they're doing is beyond vision, it's beyond sort of what we can see. But the atomic force microscope, which produces incredibly high resolution images, actually works by touch. So that's sort of unlocked this whole world which is beyond optical vision, beyond the wavelength of light. And so that flipped us back to sort of saying, well, actually, why don't we sort of engage with creating a public sculpture with a community group who actually engages in the environment in the same way, which is clearly partially sighted and blind people. And also there seems to be a big deficit in public sculpture and work in the public realm for this sector of society.
I think it's a great opportunity to be involved in the project at Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. And I think what this project has helped us do is to really say, here is UCL, UCL's arrived, and here is the sort of thing that we do in a very accessible way for the public. But part of this whole process of being involved in the Trellis project is not so much necessarily about the final pieces, but it's about building that relationship between researchers and artists. And I hope to carry on that relationship with David and perhaps produce more pieces, different pieces, maybe on the Olympic Park, maybe elsewhere. But I think, having started this dialogue, it'd be nice to continue it.